Well, hello, my everybody's. And I do mean everybody. Everybody who wants to be here, needs to be here, and should be here is here. Welcome to the space where we share meaningful, useful stories that help you, but offer some meaningful, useful solutions that heal you. I am your host, the Mushy Guru. So let's get into it. So today's episode, when I tell you I am so over the top, past the moon about the guest I'm about to introduce the world to, bless you with, it is just fabulous and extraordinaire. Um, Before I get to that, let me remind you, I truly believe that everyone has a story to tell, but it is up to you to decide if you want to share it or not. So, the guest that I have today, when I tell you, she has so many stories to tell because she's been a songstress, she's been an actress, she's a mother, she's a wife, she's an entrepreneur, she's all the things. But most importantly to me, she is my friend. She's my sister, Miss Elaine Moonie.
That's so very cool.
Elaine, I love that girl. Thank you for coming to the Mushy Guru platform.
Thank you for
It
having
has
me.
been a pleasure. Now, I am probably like day 5, day 6 in the world of YouTube and having this podcast. But one thing I knew for sure that I was gonna, whether I had to come to California, wherever you were, I was gonna have you on my podcast because this would not be complete without you. So, family, friends, my everybody's, I want to introduce you to Miss Elaine. So,
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
you're welcome. And
Whew.
I know how nerve-wracking it is for you to be in this space.
Yes.
But when it comes to being on the stage, you guys, she is phenomenal. Some of you might know Elaine from a place of called the Motherless Child. So before I get excited, because I'm already excited, I feel a little nervous. I always told myself when I was going to do my platform that I would never have anybody in this space, but if I'm going to have anybody in this space, it's going to be my sister.
Hey.
So when I first met you, Elaine, my mom was in the beginning stages of fulfilling her dream. My mom's a playwright, and for many, many years, she was on the journey of just doing locally plays and stuff like that. And I'm not even going to get into her story because I'm going to have to let her come on and share her whole testimony and things like that. But you became the missing link, the main character in a true story that became on stage for us, but it was the continuum of our real life journey of wanting to, find our place in the theatrical world.
Yes.
And so after my mom had done her show, like maybe for 10 years, and not the particular show that you were in, but other shows prior to that locally, we knew that there was a space out there in the world where people were doing national stage plays. They were traveling around the country doing like 6, 7, 8 shows a week, which was probably like unheard of now, but that was the way back then. And the goal was to get to like a big producer. And for us, that was Marvin Webster out of Beverly Hills, California.
Yes.
And at the time, all that was new to us. So at the time when my mom got discovered after doing her show locally at the little local theater in this place called Sumter, California, I mean, not California, Sumter, South Carolina.
Okay.
There was a scout there, and her name was Barbara Evans, and she was like, I represent Marvin Webster, and I think he should, see your show. And so they were like, if you're willing to do the show, with so many circumstances going along with that. She was like, but if you're willing to do your show, whatever, we'll fly in, we'll see it, and we'll decide if, basically if you're good enough. So fast forward, it ended up being good enough, thank God. I don't know if it was really good enough or time or whatever, but it worked out, praise the Lord.
Yes.
And at the end of that, we fly to Atlanta, Georgia to start the beginning of basically preparing for the tour, which was still such a long way away. And that's when we were blessed to meet the new characters of our recently new name show, which had gone from Get Your House in Order to now A Fool for Love, to meeting the people who were going to bring our characters to life. And you were one of those main characters. So Elaine, tell us, introduce to us, my family online, how did you get into the play industry so many years ago, before you even got to us?
Oh, okay. So it started when I was 22 years old. I was at a funeral, at a bishop's funeral in Sacramento, and a woman by the name of Delilah Williams reached over. She was sitting behind my mother and I, and she reached over and she said, "If you could sing," she knew my mother from a child, and my mother's a singer. And she said, "If you can sing, then I know your daughter can sing." And so, without even hearing me, they flew us out to Bishop Jake's, Bishop T.D. Jake's play, Woman Thou Art Loosed. And we watched the show for 2 weeks. I was just supposed to be an understudy in case something happened.
Okay.
And so they decided, okay, maybe you've seen it enough. They put me up on the last day there in Dallas. And without rehearsing with anyone, just coming in just from watching the show for 2 weeks, they put me up, and it was very intense. I had an out-of-body experience. I was looking down like, how in the world did I get here? Like, what is going on? God, what are you doing? The Bishop Jakes had a turntable for the set. So when it turned around, all I could see was Bishop Jakes on his one knee with his hands out, and he basically let me know, he comforted me and let me know that everything was okay.
Wow.
Because I'm gonna tell you, Bishop Jakes, you know, it's huge.
Right.
Whatever he does is huge.
Yeah.
And so it was very overwhelming. However, I knew that I could do it.
Wow.
It was in my soul to do it from a child.
Okay.
So when it happened, it was overwhelming, but I knew it was something that I can tackle with the help of the Lord, of course.
Wow.
Yeah, so he had his hands out. He said, "This good," and took this play to another level. And I was like, because it was a very sensitive scene.
Subject, yeah.
Yeah, about child abuse, rape, molestation. So I was already in the mode of feeling vulnerable.
Yeah.
So when he was standing there waiting on me, he knew that I needed that hug.
Yeah.
And so that was the best thing ever. So I was 22 years old then.
Okay.
And then after that, I got a call from Regina Gibbs, and she said, "I think you can play this part," because I played a little girl. I was 22, but I was playing a 14-year-old girl.
Right. Yeah. So can we say good genes? For real. I mean, because it's one thing to just be that good where you can play any role, no matter the age, you know, the character, and regardless of how old you are. But it's another thing to look the part. Because, you know, as creators, you get frustrated when you have a vision for your character.
Right.
And the people who are showing up may not fit that mold.
Exactly.
So the fact that you could play a 14-year-old character at 22, that says a lot.
Yeah, and you know what? Growing up, I used to be so insecure. Oh, I don't have this, I don't have that, I don't have this and that. But it worked out for my good.
That's good.
Later on in life, it worked out for my good.
Yeah.
And now I'm happy.
I know.
I'll be the tomboy. I'll be the one that's undeveloped.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Underdeveloped.
Yeah.
So it was just like God knew what I needed
Right.
for the path of my life. So next we went on to A Fool for Love.
Okay, woo! Okay, but before we go to Fool for Love, because that's like that's our whole conversation. That's the topic of our discussion today, A Fool for Love. And of course, tomorrow is Valentine's Day. So we want to provide some good nuggets to help our singles, married, whomever, if you're struggling with Valentine's or not. You know, we kind of want to just play off that A Fool for Love. But before we go there, I want to kind of just like slow down and let us really get to know your story a little bit better, because that's the Mushy Guru. It's all about the stories we tell and then the solutions we have. Okay. So I never knew that. When you said, you know, the lady, you know, said to your mom, if you could sing. And when I say sing, she meant sang. Like her family, they all sang hard. I mean, just anointed and beautiful vocalists, but just truly anointed. And so you said that you had always wanted to be an actress, but at that time, were you pursuing, like, locally, any, like, local theater?
Oh, no. When I was, like, 5, my parents, my mom's family, the Stalwarts, they called themselves the Family. Before there was a Kirk Franklin, they called themselves the Family. And my mom is number 9 of 13 kids. So everyone was musically inclined in some type of way. They played the instrument or they sang. So during their concerts, they would put on a skit.
Okay.
And they would put on a play called One Last Time.
Oh,
and I remember there was a part that they would have us to come up and do when we were little. So I always had that in my heart, like I want to be on stage. I knew it was for me. But later on, when I was about 7, 8, 9, there was a lady by the name of Ellie. Mm-hmm. She taught me how to do dumbars.
Wait a minute, what's a dumbar?
A dumbar it's like expressing through a poem.
Okay.
And I started doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started doing that, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It brought me out of my shell.
Right.
And so I was able to do public speaking.
Okay.
In front of people, in front of the church.
Okay.
And that gave me confidence.
Yeah. And
it helped me to move forward with acting.
Okay. So at that point, you were like Michael Jackson discovered him, like, I want to be on the stage. But as you were watching your family, blossom and become. And so when you got that call, there was no hesitation. When your mom said, did she say, Elaine, do you want to, do this? Was it like a second thought, or was it like, Elaine, you doing this? I mean,
it was actually a look.
Okay.
My mother and I had a look. We were just like, really?
Yeah.
Okay. It was just like, she didn't really ask me. We just did it.
Yeah.
And next thing I knew, I was on a plane to Dallas. I didn't even get time to prepare. I was calling my grandfather because I was over the music at the time.
Wow. At 22?
At 22.
Okay.
So I was calling my grandfather to ask him for permission, because back in the day, you asked for permission from your because he was my pastor.
Yeah.
He was my bishop.
Yeah.
So I asked for permission to go on tour or just to see what this was about, because I really wasn't sure yet. And he said, how can I not? Like, this is something. Yes.
Yeah.
I would never hold you back. And I was like, thank you, Papa. And then next thing you know, I went and told Lady Jakes, yes, we take the offer, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it was just like, yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to move with the clouds. You can't just wait on everything, because that waiting process started when I was little. It didn't just happen.
Yeah.
So when it happens, you have to know, and you have to seize the moment. You have to maximize the moment, as Bishop Jakes would say.
Yeah.
And just go for it.
That is so good.
Mm-hmm.
So how long were you on tour with? So when they brought you in, was it because something was going on to where you had to be brought in? Because the play was already in motion, right?
The play was already in motion.
Okay.
But the young lady, there were 2 people playing my part.
Okay.
The main character, Michelle.
Okay.
One of the main characters. And there was an older Michelle and a younger Michelle. So I guess the younger Michelle, she was really 14.
Oh, okay.
But the girl was bad.
Okay.
Her name was Tyne Jackson.
Wow.
I'll never forget it. She was bad.
Okay.
So she could sing, act, and everything, but she was only 14. And back then, you needed a tutor, you needed a chaperone, you needed a computer, and that was becoming new back then.
Absolutely.
So it was just, I think, a lot to it.
Mm-hmm. And
so if you could get a grown-up that you didn't need a chaperone, you didn't need all this stuff, I think it would have been better for them.
Okay.
However, the girl, we love Tyne Jackson. She's amazing. She's amazing. We still keep up to this day.
That is awesome.
And so, so I was able to be an understudy. However, then later on, I was able to play the part solely.
Okay.
And then later on, I started playing both parts.
Wow.
Yeah.
So was that after you felt the confidence kick in, or were they like, Elaine, you're ready?
I think they told me.
Yeah.
I wasn't, I'm just here.
Okay.
I'm just trying to do my job.
Yeah.
Go to my room. However, they told me,
okay,
I think you can do it. And I was like, you sure? Because that was 8 songs a night. Tyler Perry was involved. He was like, I don't want you to ruin your voice. Let's cut out 1 or 2 songs and let's, because the other girl was bad too.
Right.
she would kill it.
Yeah.
So, you just want to make sure you stay in your lane.
Absolutely.
I did what I could do. And then the rest was history. I would just tour. We toured for about a little over a year. And opened up in New York, Los Angeles, everywhere. I toured everywhere with them.
Yeah. And
because of them, I'll always be grateful for awesome. Opening that door for me.
That is phenomenal, Elaine. One thing about being on the road, your life changed, not just from a place of now you're no longer in, you were born and raised in California, but now you're, traveling around the country, with not just your mom on tour at this point. You're by yourself. You're considered grown up. Like
I'm
you
by
said,
myself.
You're by yourself.
Yes.
You are doing 8 shows a week. You are now with this new group of people who have to become your family.
Right.
How did you like the tour world? Being that how were y'all, like y'all were doing bus, train, automobile, tour bus, all the stuff.
All the things.
How did you go? How was your transition from like whatever you were doing before, working with the church and doing all the stuff, to now you are on the road? What was that transition like?
Growing up, I have 3 brothers and I was the only girl.
Okay.
But I was the oldest. So I was very independent.
Okay.
So I think that helped me in life. When it was time for me to leave, and right before then I went to Sac State.
Okay.
So I was in college early at 17.
Wow.
16, 17. I was in college, so I was okay. So when they asked me to come, I left college. I left school.
Wow.
Disenrolled and just left.
Right, because this was before.
Everything.
Yeah, so
my dog, my cat.
Because this was before online. Really, online wasn't a thing.
No online.
Like now people have the opportunity to like, okay, I'm gonna go do a tour, do this and that, and still finish my studies if I want to. But back then, you had to make a definite decision about your life.
That was scary.
So it was scary. So being that you said initially it wasn't like you were in pursuit. Some people, this is their dream, their life, like they're living blood. So they're going at the next opportunity. But for you had to take a pause and say, okay, I'm about to leave school, and I've been in school for a minute.
My mom, my dad, my family, my church.
The investment, the financial investment you had made.
All of that.
All that stuff.
Oh my goodness. It was a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot.
When you're thinking about it. Yeah, it was a lot to just up and leave and uproot and, like you said, go along with some strangers I had never met. However, there was this one man named Brian Andrews. When the decision was made for me to be on tour with them, it kind of it made me feel uneasy as well as I was happy. Yeah. But it came with a lot of pressure. Okay. So Brian Andrews was the first one to say, "Are you okay?" Yeah. I was like, no. But I was, glad that someone acknowledged that, it was a lot of pressure to even be there. Yeah, to be seen. And you want to, you don't want to make mistakes, especially with under the umbrella of Bishop T.D. Jakes. Yeah. You want to make sure everything's perfect, So, that was a lot. I love that. God has a way of sending, guardian angels, people to protect you, to cover you, which that stuff is already ordained. Because when he swoops in and you're praying, Lord, help me, or help me with my role, help me to remember my stuff, but also like help me in my day-to-day with this. And he had somebody just to acknowledge you. Yes. God is, he is just so perfect in, coming in and saving the day in our simplicities of the things we're not thinking about as we pursue our dreams. Elaine, I absolutely love that. So did you like being on tour? I loved it. Yeah, did you like it? I love being on tour. Listen, to wake up late, work late. Right. Because I was a night owl. Right. Thank God I was a night owl. I stayed up late. I hated going to sleep. So to be able to work from 8 p.m. until 11 o'clock at night, do a show, go back to the room, eat, do whatever you want, sleep all day until the evening of the next day. That was wonderful. Yeah. And then Bishop Jakes, they were so accommodating. They would give you per diem. Okay. A nice amount of per diem. So we really didn't have to use our check to make it. So I would send my money home. You know, I
Okay,
could
send it
buy
home.
things for my
Right.
brothers, my
Yeah.
mom, send rent home.
Yeah.
Just whatever I could do. So we were spoiled on the road.
Yeah.
We were spoiled. Yeah, they paid for our food on the weekends,
Yeah.
and then if we all went out, we didn't want for anything. So I know everybody doesn't have that same
Luxury.
testimony.
Yeah.
However, I'm so grateful that I was able to experience that.
Yeah, covered.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, okay, so let's keep moving. So, at that time, you're 22, not married, no kids, just left college. Now you are living your dream.
Yes.
I mean, because now it's a realized dream, whether you thought it or not.
It's a reality.
It's a reality.
Yeah.
So how much time was it in between? So now, because now you've gotten a taste of the road, are you hyperventilating, thinking, okay, so how long is this gonna last? What's next? When is my next gig coming? Were you thinking about stuff like that, or was it just I'm about to pursue this?
No, I lived for the day. I hate to say it, but I lived for the day. I wasn't too much of a planner.
Okay.
For my life, I just knew I was going to finish college and whatever.
Yeah.
Do whatever with the degree. However, that didn't happen. So I lived for the day. We were on tour for a year. Once I got home, it seemed like right when I got home, there was another call.
Okay.
A Fool for Love.
Yeah. So wait a minute. So you were done with the tour. Like the tour was over.
Done.
And so how long were you at home before you got the next call?
Not too long. Not too long because
years?
Probably a month or so.
Wow.
Because it was 2001. I was done.
Wow.
I was touring 2000.
Yeah. Yeah.
I toured the whole 2000.
Crazy. You were working.
Yeah. Yeah. And then 2001, I was on tour with you all, but that's when 9/11 happened.
Yes. Woo! Life change for everybody. September.
Yes. So I got a call from you all to come out, and I wasn't trying to go because of the planes crashing.
Yes.
I was like, I wish I would get on
Right. Okay.
That's
like,
not about to happen.
Oh my goodness. Why is it feeling the same now? Why is that given now?
I said the same thing. That's like the times we're living in now.
Yeah.
Where you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. But God. Okay.
And then this pastor, Trina Turner, prayed for me so that I would get on that plane. She said, God is not going to let anything happen to you.
Girl.
Are you serious? There's something for you to do.
Yeah.
Your assignment is greater than the fear that you have to fly on this plane.
Okay, Elaine.
So I got on a plane.
Ooh, okay, like, you know what? Okay, you're trying to push us into, like, the encouragement side of Mushy Guru.
Let's go.
Automatically, because I think people need to hear that right now.
Yeah.
Like, as things feel, like, different, scary, unsure about, your next, but you still have, like, all this hope and dream ahead of you. You just gave a solution.
Yeah, don't fear.
Don't fear.
God is faithful.
God is faithful.
He will protect you.
Yeah.
He will keep you. No matter what you're going through, he's going to be right there. Even flying here, I was a little nervous because of everything. Yeah. And then just a calming spirit came over me. Because I know God has us in his hands.
Yes.
I know he does. So just take no thought for your life.
Yeah.
Move forward. Keep living. The devil wants us to stop.
Yeah.
Because what we have to do is bigger than just going on our daily jobs. It's bigger than that.
Yeah. Our
assignment is to put out what God has us to put out.
That's so
the
good.
gifts and talents that we have, it's for others so that they can learn about God. But it's not for us.
Yeah.
So he's going to protect us.
Yes.
Yeah, so no fear.
I love that. And I mean, so as you have no fear in the world, moving and shaking around in this world and whatever's happening, keep having no fear in the passions, the promises, the gifts and talents that God has given us to use to glorify him and to move his agenda along. Right? Because you got to walk in that obedience. If he's told you to do something and he's giving you the gift to do it, you best believe you better run towards that thing, right? Because he's going to have the provisions for you.
Oh, yes.
So, okay, I know. So, okay, so let me calm down. So, like with you, so this young woman, when I met her, of course, I'm a little bit older, a couple of years, 2-3 years. I mean, all it was like the girl who sings The Motherless Child from TD Jakes? Like, that's all I knew. Because when I flew into Atlanta with my mom, because, even though you said we called you, we we were under the umbrella of Marvin Webster, Marvelous Intent. He was representing us, and we were super excited to like, who are these people? It was all new for my mom and I, because it was like two dreams colliding. It was like you coming off of your journey and entering into the now continued state of being an actress on stage and being known. We're coming off this like hometown. We can't believe God just don't come through for us. You know what I mean? Like all the wanting and the waiting, and is God, or is it really gonna happen? So when we got to Atlanta, my mom and I were like, oh my gosh, all these people are working because my mom wrote a play. It was just, it blew us away. So we were humble and honored and thankful. Like, y'all were working so hard to like bring these characters to life because it was something she wrote. I will never forget, like, coming to Atlanta and coming to the hotel the first time and like laying eyes on you and like, who is this little chick or whatever? Like, oh my gosh. And you were so nice, and that's pretty much like all I had at the moment. Because, again, I'm the newbie to the group. You've been in this world for a minute. You don't know like how we're going to be or whatever.
True.
Because, the promoters and the writers, they could be a little different, and have a different expectation, as you talked about. So what was that like for you now, learning this person as motherless child, now having to learn a whole new script, and now meet a whole new group of people and create a whole new family and start this new journey. What was that like for you with A Fool for Love?
I was nervous at first, but when I met you, there were 4 people. De'Erica, JJ Moonie, Pierre McElhaney, and we call her T-Lee, but Talisha Lee.
Yeah.
I think once we all came together, we were a family.
Yes.
It's like we had kindred spirits. We were all kind of raised up the same way.
Yeah.
So I didn't feel like I was far away from home anymore.
Okay.
I felt like we were family and it was meant to be.
Wow. That's good.
Yes, definitely that.
That's good. I felt the same, but I don't know if it was as fast because you had already developed a bond with like Talisha Lee. Shout out to T-Lee. Hey girl. You already had a bond, and it was a different relationship at first. Like, I felt hard, like, I want to be with y'all, because I wasn't part of the cast and crew. I was flying in every weekend, like, can I get on the tour bus? You know what I mean? That
like,
kind of thing.
This is your play, girl, yes.
I know, but still, it was like, but y'all were there to do the work. I was there to like, I'm ready to have some fun and meet and like, do this thing. Like, let's do this.
Yeah.
But y'all were carrying the load. And my mom, when she would come in, I'll never forget, we were one time in New York and we were doing, a matinee that day. I mean, y'all were doing matinee, evening shows, back to back to back. It was like slam pat at the Beacon Theater, which one of my favorite times. And my mom was like, y'all are nothing but the black Laverne and Shirley. Because you, as many lines as you had, Elaine, singing, acting, doing all the stuff, you would be last minute, showtime at 3 o'clock, showtime at 7 o'clock, and Elaine is out shopping, saying hey to everybody.
Oh my God, I was doing that back then.
30 minutes prior, running with clothes on. And so it was just, and I was just like, I'm just here having a blast, knowing you needed to be on set. But it was so amazing. So, of course, eventually when I got into it and started gelling, I felt that same kindred spirit of love because, Pierre, JJ, who we'll talk about when we get to the next part with A Fool for Love, how that is just so impactful. I felt like I have met this amazing group of people, and God, like, how in the world could you bring so many of my dreams together with just the play coming in? So it was powerful. It had gone more so past ministry now to like, God, you are like on a mission for me now, because at that time, you and I were single, but that was about to change. Because as you mentioned, Mr. JJ Moonie, who was also touring, well, at that time, he was one of the few people who did not get cut.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
show.
From the show. So on our journey doing the play, we had been with a wonderful, amazing group of people for a long time. And I had even been in the show, but I didn't even make the cut. My mom was like, do you think I'm about to miss my dream and not cut my own daughter?
I'm weak.
So when you meet Janice Feaster, you know, you're going to see, like, I even got cut from the play.
Wow.
And, you know, that's part of the process.
Yeah.
But my mom was like, you know, we about to do some cutting the good with the bad, but my dream going to live.
That's right.
And so I got cut, you know, a lot. And so JJ and Pierre were the only two out of our hometown that actually made it.
Which I'm grateful for.
Which we're grateful for, because let's kind of move into, you know, being that it's Valentine's Day and the play was called A Fool for Love. It was called Get Your House in Order. But, you know, for those of you who want to go into the, you know, theater, you know, if you're writing your plays and you're trying to get out there and have tours and you want to know, like, the process behind it, it's a lot.
Yes.
You know, and it's a lot between what kind of stage plays and productions you do. You have your big, monstrous Tyler Perry, T.D. Jakes. Then you have different tiers where, you know, you're doing still the full circuits, but it is maybe not so extraneous. You know what I mean? But there's still so many behind the scenes that it requires for that stage play to move forward.
Yes.
So when JJ and Pierre came on, they were the cream of the crop, just to be honest. And meeting a group of people who were already professionals because it was their first time. Whereas with all of you guys, y'all had the, you know, the mastery of the experience.
Yes.
How did you welcome specifically JJ into your world? Because, you know, your last name went from Elaine O'Neill to Moonie. Yes. And JJ with Get Your House in Order being changed to A Fool for Love because the main character was a fool in our show. He was a straight fool who was in love, and he was not seeing things that he needed to see that was impacting his family, which, you know, you were part of the main character's main family, because he was in love with this person for the sake of just being in love.
Yes.
So when JJ came in, how did he become part of your world in a way from, you know, just being a hometown guy, new guy? How did JJ make a transition into your life, and why? Okay. Since we're talking about A Fool for Love.
Oh my God. Okay, so on tour, even though we were very close, because we were the only ones, I would say, that were having Bible study outside of whatever else was going on. And so we were close in the spiritual world. However, JJ got on my nerves. He would get on my nerves. Like, you know, we all were young, so we played too much. You know? Right. Yeah, so we're always playing and doing tricks on each other and all of that. So, I don't know. JJ was cool. He was handsome, all of that good stuff, but that's not, like, where my mind was. I was engaged at the moment. I was engaged on tour. Okay. You know, I had a fiance. However, he was like, "You won't be doing that." Wow. When we get married, and I'm like, gotta go. Yeah, that didn't work. So about 4 years later, I believe, actually, 4 years later, Jared and I got together. And we were just friends. He would come and visit Stockton, where I'm from, my hometown. And go to church with us. My whole family loved JJ because they knew him from the play. When you guys came down for the show in California, the whole family was able to meet him. And then just years later, we just, you know, I was single, he was single. Yeah. And it just kind of like changed. From someone who I was like, would you get out of my face? Right. Like, to, oh my God. Yeah. Get out of my face. I know, but this is what's so crazy, Elaine. So at this point, you and I, you know, we have a very unique relationship and connection because, you know, in our 20s, you know, like you and JJ been married for almost 20 years, I think, this year. I've been married for like, that's like, what in the world, girl? Woo, we made it. I've been married for like 14, almost, you know, 15 years or whatever. Mm-hmm. But during that time in our 20s and until we got married, our unique connection outside of just being in Christ and the plays and stuff like that, you and I both were virgins and waiting to get married. You know, different perspectives per se. But I remember you were ready to leave our show. And I was like, what do you mean you want to leave the show? Because God had put it on your heart that, you know,
there was something bigger going on for you. Like God knew who your husband was going to be. I think you were fighting it, that JJ was the one. And so I'll never forget, you came and said, I think I'm gonna have to leave the show because God has told me I don't need to be here. And I mean, my mom's show is on the line, but I'm back there helping you write your resignation.
Everybody was highly upset.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, like Lane, I'll get you this if you don't go.
Right,
like,
yeah.
Little bit, they call it little bit. Come on, little bit.
Right.
Man, we're doing big things. Why you want to leave? And I felt like it was time.
Yeah.
Woo. Because you know why? Keep your nose clean, like my father-in-law said.
That's good.
You don't want to ever get to where you cross.
Yeah.
You know, holy and unholy.
That's
righteous
good.
and unrighteous.
Yeah.
And when you become common, that's a very bad thing. When you shouldn't be.
Okay. Common.
Okay. So before that even happened, it's time for me to go.
Right. So look, you are about to be. You already the main character of Food for Love. You weren't going to be.
Since y'all ain't gonna go, I'ma go.
But let's speak to that. You are in the heartbeat. Nobody wanted you to leave.
I didn't want to leave.
You didn't want, but you said God would. So how she brought it to me was, you got to help me write this resignation. You know, from your play, you know, because I got to go. You know? And I'm like, okay, because at this point, our friendship, our sisterhood was so important to me. And we all knew, you know, that you and JJ were meant to be, but God
But see, that was the thing. This is what did it. Okay.
Okay.
Just struck a nerve. Okay. So Frank Hallam.
Yeah.
Came to me, took me out a little bit. I want to take you out.
But he was like our general manager. So he was the person, so if you trying to get your play stuff together, that's that person that's shoring up everything. It's like the house mama.
Yes. So he took me out to eat. And he said, he said, now I'm going to just tell you a little bit. You know, I don't claim to be no preacher, no prophet, no nothing.
Not.
But he said, JJ's your husband. And I was like,
what?
Brad, you got me messed up. I was like, that couldn't be, because at the time, you know, I was with someone and he was, that, I just didn't see God in that.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm telling you, that's your husband. And I was like, yeah, whatever. Okay, so time passed. Yeah. I left the show.
Left us high and dry.
We
were on search for whoever. Trying to help us figure it out.
Yeah.
Because we had no
And
understanding.
I felt bad. But because I turned down Tyler Perry for this show.
A lot of people,
literally.
Yeah, it was crazy.
He was like, Lane, I want you to be in the family reunion. And I was like, I can't. I'm in a fool. I didn't know I could leave. Even though I had a contract, I didn't know I can break the contract. But I was like,
integrity, girl.
Integrity. Thank you, Lord. But yeah, so years passed, and then when we met up, it was like I knew he was my husband.
Yeah.
Like I knew it. And he approached me, and it was like, Lane, if you don't answer the call, like if you don't, you're gonna miss out.
Who was saying if you don't?
Me. Like I felt like if I missed it, if I didn't answer, if I didn't, go along with it, it wasn't gonna be good for me.
Wow.
Yeah, or I was just gonna miss that opportunity.
Miss the opportunity to be in a relationship with JJ, your husband to be, or just miss the opportunities like all around you.
Well, I had a few.
Right.
I had a few opportunities. Let's not get that. So JJ wasn't the first and only opportunity.
Right.
However, he was the one.
Yeah.
So, my first kiss with JJ was like...
Okay, this is like...
fireworks!
Okay, did nobody need to know that?
Yeah, I saw that, didn't we? That's how I knew.
Oh my God! Listen, let's be clear. For us, that would be fireworks because that's all about.
That's all I could get.
That was extreme. We were doing period.
That was it, and I barely did that. That took forever. So he was grateful. But I didn't kiss people because I felt like kissing was more intimate than being intimate with someone.
But how would you have known?
I don't know. I just felt like kissing was really intimate.
Okay, right. And I remember you used to say that all the time. with on our virgin walks to marriage. I used to talk about that because we always laugh and say,
I'm not kissing you.
And the thing with you is you weren't pressed about being married. You really were not.
No.
You weren't. I was hard and core pressed, but you weren't pressed at all.
Not at all. Listen, I had lived my life.
Yeah.
I was having fun. I didn't have any problems being single.
Right.
I was having fun. My Auntie Carol taught me, dang, date them all. Like, have fun. Live your life. I didn't have a bunch of boyfriends, but I had a lot of guy friends.
Yeah.
Where I grew up in a house full of boys. So I was comfortable around men.
Yeah.
It didn't really feel like a boyfriend. It just felt like we're just hanging out. So I was comfortable around men. And so when a guy would make me feel all tingly inside, that's when I really knew that was it.
Okay, so I remember, being, for the years we traveled with the play and everything, and watching JJ. This man, and granted, I knew JJ prior, not to the extent of like I knew JJ, but I had a relationship with him.
Mm-hmm.
I would watch this man, like literally, this child is doing the same script every night. I mean, you had to be on point, when it was time for you to go on and do your part, do your thing. This man would light up as if it was his first time seeing you perform every night.
Goodness.
And you're talking about aggravating when you over here as myself, like, when is my person coming, Lord? You know what I mean?
That's because D wanted to be married at 12. Like, I wasn't worried about marriage. Dearica wanted to be married.
Okay, anyway. So. But I'm just saying,
anyway.
But you just sitting up there watching JJ gloat and glean at the stage, like salivating because you were about to do your scene. And we've all seen you do this.
But I didn't know that.
Right, and you really did not know that.
I didn't know he was doing that. Until later on, everybody made a joke about it.
Yeah, so like if for people who, let's just go on and get into the whole Valentine's Day tomorrow in honor of Food for Love, we're so excited. I just thank God every day for the collaboration of it and you jumping on board and that being a small sector of our lives. And now for the past 15 something years, we've been like sisters.
Yes.
How do you encourage people who are in the middle of their dreams and they're longing for, they're trying to pursue, what God has for them or whatever their passions are, but they want to be married. They want to have the family. They're not hearing anything from God about, their relationship. How do you keep people from falling into the trap? And that just gave me a keyword. I'm going to have to go back to remind me about the trap. Because I want to talk about your aunt. Okay. If you don't know Dr. Wanda Turner's sex trap, we're going to talk about that. But how do you keep people from becoming the fool for the sake of love as they need to continue to pursue their dreams? You know what I mean? Like you were willing to walk away, not necessarily knowing that this was going to be the one, but you were being led by Holy Spirit to like, it's time for you to go. And he was doing it for your protection. Yes. And you acted in obedience. How do you help people who are right there, but they're doing foolish things for the sake of love?
To be transparent, I cried when I knew that I needed to leave that show.
Yeah.
I did not want to go. It was not something I wanted to do. I was in the thick of it. I was in my prime.
Yeah.
I was having fun.
Yeah, it was.
I was getting paid more than I am now.
Yeah.
Why would I want to leave that?
Right.
So, I don't know. Following the voice of the Lord, integrity, having integrity.
Yeah.
Living out your life, though, even though you struggle, even though you desire, keep living a righteous life.
Wait a minute.
Everything else will fall in place.
That's good. What do you mean by righteous? Because everybody on here is not like necessarily.
If it's sin to you, don't do it.
You said if it's sin to you, don't do it.
Don't do it.
Okay.
If it's a hindrance to you, be aware of your surroundings. Don't put yourself in a place where you can't get out.
That's good.
Remove yourself.
That's good.
Don't let God do it for you. Do it. He's given us choices. Do it yourself.
Yeah.
And that's basically, look, I'm speaking to myself. That's basically what happened. I had to remove myself.
Woo.
So that I wouldn't be a statistic.
Yes.
So I wouldn't be in an entanglement.
Girl, speak.
Like, I'm still human.
Yeah.
But I wasn't easily tempted. At that time, I really wasn't easily tempted, but I didn't want to be. So I went on and just handled it myself before it got too far.
Yeah. But but we're not counting out the fact that you literally said you cried. So it wasn't. So I mean, it wasn't easy.
And it wasn't that I cried because of him. I cried because this is something I love to do. This is my livelihood. I just left thousands of dollars on the table for what?
Right. Ooh. Uncertainty. You were going back to. I mean, when I say, if that didn't help a lot of people, I know it did, because a lot of people stay, and just to like segue to, I just went back and watched your aunt, Dr. Wanda Turner. She wrote Sex Traps. And, I don't know how old you were when she wrote that and when she became well known for that book. She was calling people girly. She's like, girl, you better relocate. She was like, if you are, and it's not just the sex or the relationship.
I was 15, 16, 17. I was a teenager.
Yeah, so you were really fed during that purity time, that prime time.
And you guys wouldn't have handled it when she had sex traps at her church.
Okay.
It
was real raw.
It was raw, but it was something that we needed.
Yeah.
It was they had visuals. She had MD doctors there.
That's good.
To come show you visuals of everything. If you want gonorrhea, this is what it looks like.
Yeah.
Do you want this?
She was going in.
Oh, they went all the way in, but guess what? I wasn't trying to get into anything.
Yeah.
Because of it.
I remember I was watching not too long ago just to kind of get a fresh. She was like speaking to like 30,000 people.
Yes.
I mean,
that was the Woman That Loose conference.
Yeah, I mean, insane.
I was in the place. She did the conference with
crazy.
Bishop T.D. Jakes. Yes, and Sex Traps. No ringy, you get no dingy.
Right, girl. I mean, but you know what I liked about how your aunt delivered that? Even though she, went in with the sex trap, she was saying, okay, if it's cigarettes, don't let that be your trap.
Right.
If it is, whatever it is, if it's alcoholism, don't let that be your, if it's a medication from your, from your doctor, don't let that be your trap. That's the thing. It's like whatever the thing is, it doesn't just have to be one thing, whatever your thing is. Don't let that thing trap you, because the enemy knows. He has listened in so good.
Oh, yeah.
He
knows your weaknesses.
What your weaknesses are. And he can, like your aunt said, he can put that stuff on the trap and have you coming right back to it. The cheese.
Oh, yes.
To get you caught up. In the midst of you pursuing what God has for you. Because you were pursuing what God had for you.
Right.
So, but even still, you were not going to be a fool.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You weren't going to play that fool's role.
And a fool for somebody else's love for me.
Girl.
I wasn't in love.
Yeah. What?
But it was
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
No. I hadn't let myself, I hadn't let that wall down.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
Yeah. You
know what I'm saying? I was already in something. So it wasn't like I could.
Yeah.
Even though I could, because I wasn't married.
Right.
So, yeah. Auntie Wanda was a powerful woman of God. And I learned so much from her. She was my godmother as well, so I was always at her house in Los Angeles, and she would tell you, don't let these boys do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. And it's not limited to boys.
Lane, did you kiss him?
Right.
Auntie Wanda.
Yeah. But that not limited to boys. I mean, like sometimes, especially today, the girls are the bosses. They're running with it too. So
it's crazy.
Whatever that role is, don't fall into the trap.
Don't fall into the trap.
Don't be entrapped. While you're trying to chase your treasure.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. It's not worth it.
It's not worth it. And even if it does look like it's
because love will come back around.
How do you know?
Because it happened for me.
Okay. Well, so let's talk about it. So when you left, you said it will come back around. You didn't know, like you said, when you left, it wasn't like, okay, I'm gonna see you in 5 minutes, and when you walked back to home to like crickets, maybe relationship back on still on tour.
Oh, yeah.
Money is on tour. Everything is on tour. You walk home. Let's talk about the rest, because we've kind of gotten to the rest of the story. Like I want my audience to always find rest in the rest of their story so they can finish well. So like, how did you find rest at home after you left all the stuff?
Well, my conscience, I felt relieved. I didn't have any dirt on my tracks.
That's good.
I felt good because I still I stood on what I believed.
Yeah.
And to me, that was the best payment I could have ever had.
Yeah.
And the blessings came from that. I still toured. It was with a different show.
Yeah.
And I was still connected to the same people.
Yeah.
So it came back around. You just do what God tells you to do. And don't worry about the rest.
Yeah.
Because I needed to be home for that period. Went right back out.
Yeah.
But by the time I went back out, I was married.
Yeah, and let me just put the irony on how God good is. So could you tell us, if you don't remember, what the name of that show was? Man of Her Dreams. What?
You know, I don't know.
Like, how God gonna do that?
The Man of Her Dreams.
Right, you know, see, God don't mess with him.
And he was. And JJ wasn't the one that I didn't have a specific type.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't have, he gotta have this, he gotta have that.
Mm-hmm.
He has to look like this. And no, he was everything I didn't think I wanted.
Okay.
So, but when we came together and we finally submitted to the will, he was everything I needed.
I love that.
Because I didn't want for too much. I had a job, I had toured, I had been everywhere that I wanted to be, traveled, had fun, vacation. The only thing left to do was to get married.
Yeah.
So when he pursued, keyword, he pursued, not me. When he pursued, it just made everything else, my life became whole.
That's good. Yeah.
So it was great. It was great.
You know, and just to kind of segue into, like, you know, God fulfilled, like you said, even though you weren't in pursuit and weren't desperate to be married or anything, God still, he fulfilled all those dreams, you know, going from 20 to your 30s and then getting married and having an amazing, you know, Tamla Man singing at your wedding, all the stuff. I mean, 100 people in the, you know, I was like, where am I, you know, up in here? I mean, you know what I'm saying?
It was 100 of us.
I mean, 100 of us in the bridal party. I mean,
dancers.
Just all that. It was like Coming to America times 2 up.
It was.
But, you know, having all of that and looking back, do you ever think about what would have happened had you not taken that leap of faith of obedience? What would it have looked like?
It would not have been what it was.
Yeah.
I would not have been as blessed. I would not have been favored. I would not have been chosen.
Yeah.
Because it just wouldn't have been that way.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't have been that way. I had everything that I ever wanted for my wedding.
Yeah.
All my dearest friends, cousins, family, people from all over, Tennessee, New York, like everybody came.
We all showed up
to celebrate our union. And that was amazing.
And I want to say that the reason why we all came, and I think I had to bring somebody to help me get it, because I was like, are you forgetting about me, your girl? Like, I was the last one out of all our friends to get married.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is when we got there was no way we weren't going to show up, because when I say out of all the stuff that you've done, you are one of my most humblest. You know, you walk in such humility. I mean, and you know, give your last to people in the midst of being the gift to so many people. I mean, I'm so grateful for our friendship and the relationship we have, and just your ministry as you being a person. I thank you for doing that, because you rarely talk about yourself. So, like, I know it was hard for you to come on here. I know we've acted foolish and had fun, and I feel like this hour has just, like, I didn't even get to half the stuff I wanted to talk about with you. But I'm so thankful that I was blessed to come into the space with you and see what it's like to worship the way you do. You know, you worship with your whole heart. How you give. Your love language is that you're a giver.
Yes, that is my love language. Giving is my thing.
Yeah.
But just to let everybody know, I just lost my father-in-law last Sunday.
Yeah.
And because of it, the way that my husband and I would give, people have given and given while I'm here.
Yeah.
Still getting text messages. Just send something to your cash app. Check it.
Yeah.
Because when things happen suddenly, you're not always prepared for it.
Yes.
And so if you give unto people as unto God, He will definitely give it back to you. Don't worry about it. You know, I'm not leaving my riches down here. My riches are in heaven. There's nothing down here that's going to last.
No, nothing.
So why not give it away?
Why not?
Especially when people need it.
Yeah.
Help them out, you know, and that same love returned to me just recently. You guys just have no idea.
Yeah.
So my thing is, I've been born and raised to give. My auntie Wanda was a giver.
Yeah.
She could raise an offering, be 100,000 in about 10-15 minutes. Crazy. But it's because of her faith.
Yeah.
And that's how we were raised, to have faith.
Right.
And so everything that I have is built on faith. Even my marriage is built on faith. I'm believing God that it will stay, that it will continue to grow and flourish. And my children, I want them to have the same favor.
Yes.
Favor comes from faith and giving.
And then faith is
and planting seeds.
Yeah, acting on what you believe. That's what my pastor always says. I mean, Elaine, and you've spoken volumes. I don't even have to say something good to my people and leave. You said it all. I mean, like they should have like gathered all the nuggets. Just trust God and give, and don't be afraid to walk in obedience to Him. You know. Yeah, I mean, Elaine. So like I said, there's so much more we could say, but let's kind of like presently where you are. I always laugh and call you a connector because you do so many things. I mean, beyond plays and singing, I mean, and acting. You have Moonie Productions where you guys have brought in some amazing, I mean, phenomenal. You had Isaac Caree and Ty Tribbett and John P. Key, and the list goes on and on and on and on and on. You know so many, Pastor Mike Jr. You know so many people, and that the humility that you have, and they come in and grace, you know, Stockton, California, or wherever you are. Where do you see Moonie Productions going now? What are your next goals for you guys with what you're doing?
Moonie Productions, we want to take shows on tour.
Yeah.
That's our next thing. I really, we want to have our own theater.
That's good.
One day.
Yeah.
To where we don't have to rip and run.
Yeah.
We can have it in-house. And people that are in the neighborhood or surrounding cities can come.
That's good.
And build on their, build their acting skills and singing skills and whatever it is that we do backstage. There's something for everybody.
Absolutely.
So I want our own, I want us to have our own theater.
Yeah, and so Elaine, and we can end with this. Let's talk about legacy real fast because you know your pawpaw.
Yes.
You know, the Stallworth name, that legacy is built on so much just wisdom and greatness. I mean, to the point where you all have a school. It was a charter school. Now it is, you know, it's a living, full functioning school. I know that even when you do your productions, it's always on behalf of like it, you know, helping the school out or bringing other schools to, you know, connect with your 501c3. You want to talk about that a little bit, like with the Stalwart schools?
Yeah. My grandfather had a school. It was called Samuel Hancock Christian School. Then, before he died on his deathbed, they told him he was, they were going to name a charter school in his name. So now we have a charter school.
That's awesome.
The Dr. Louis C. Stallworth Senior Charter School.
Yeah.
So my mother, Gail Stallworth, is the director. My aunt Alice is the principal.
Yeah.
And I'm the senior administrator. My husband, he works in the transportation, security, all the things.
This legacy.
Legacy.
Yeah.
And if it weren't for my grandfather, we would not be able to do all the things that we're doing now.
For the community.
Right. It's amazing to be able to help people that are less fortunate.
Yeah.
And to give them hope. Some of them have gotten baptized.
That's awesome.
To church.
That's awesome.
They received the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. Just being able to touch each one in the natural, and it just spills over into the spiritual.
Yeah.
That's amazing for me.
It's amazing. I mean, so we look at your story, you know, at the Mushy Guru platform, how you started at 22. You know, you had a vision or a dream at like 5 years old. You had this, I can do this.
Yes.
And then God just started like moving you towards it. And now, you know, in the second part of your life, you're giving back through the community and giving other people. They may not do it in the way that you know, with, you know, the stage plays and traveling and all the stuff. But now you're giving opportunities for all kinds of people, races, ethnicities, to have that same opportunity to do it locally. I mean, and that's what it's all about.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm grateful to God. It's all God.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So it never stops. I mean, so no matter how old you are, where you are in life, if you're just now starting with your creative or whatever, it's never too late.
It's never too late.
And this is the thing: the enemy, or the antagonist of your good stuff, it always wants to say, but it doesn't look like what you thought it was going to look like. But see, when you stop yourself and you don't allow just the visions to be, you may miss out something that was even greater than what you imagined.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, who would have thought? Like you wearing so many hats. I mean, yeah, you can still do the stage. Yeah, you can still act. Yeah, you can still sing. But now you're doing administrative with your legacy school.
Yes.
I mean, doing Moonie Productions, bringing artists in. So you're giving other people the opportunity to have that same experience with God at the forefront and having foundational growth with it. So, Lord, I mean, I just thank you, Elaine, because I know this is hard for you, girl. I thank you for coming on and sharing your story with my family. Thank you so much. I know it was the timing that allowed it to happen right now, but you can't play with God's timing, because how could I get, my main character from A Fool for Love to come the day before Valentine's Day to encourage my people, unfortunately for the real reasons why you were here with Mr. Moonie, who we will miss. Yes. But thank you for taking the time, and I love you.
I love you too.
And I can't wait for you to be seen again with me somewhere soon on the Mushy Guru on tour.
Love and circumstances.
Love and circumstances.
A Fool for Love.
All the stuff, in the future, and all the things that you and Moonie Productions are doing. I'm so proud of you, and just love our relationship for the past 20 years. And so, till next time, like I always say, if you don't have anything good to say about yourself, I'm not going to tell you to shut up, but I'm going to say hush your mouth. See you next time.